Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, and Lauren. Welcome to the Cimorelli podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Cimorelli podcast. Today we are a trio. We are triplets. No.
We are.
Yeah.
We all have
We're triplets
brown eyes.
today. Yeah, that's all you need.
Brown hair, kind of.
Yeah.
Wait, are there fraternal triplets and identical triplets as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And things you never think about.
There
It's
could be
all about the
identical
twins.
quads. I follow someone on Instagram that is.
Okay.
There's four
Too
of
far.
you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyway, welcome back. It's episode 146, right?
Yep.
Today we're talking about how to be more positive or how to be less dumb. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. How to be more positive, guys. A lot of people struggle with this, you know. I mean, who
Especially
doesn't?
in these winter
Yeah.
months.
And
you know?
yeah, in the
Just
winter
kind of down
time.
outside. Oof.
It can be difficult, or maybe you just, you know, I feel like there's a, especially when you're young, but a lot of adults have this problem too, where it's like life is so up and down, not mood wise, like productivity or focus or like good feeling wise, where you're like, you're always saying, I just got to get back on track. I just got to get back on track. You're up and down and up and down and you're
Yeah.
swaying all over the track. For me, eventually I got on the track and I don't get off track now. It's like, whatever, I found my track. I found a realistic track that I can drive my train down, but a lot of people are just swerving all over. So I feel like that is also kind of where we're going to go, right? Like
Yeah.
how to stay on your track. How to just get a good thing
Sure.
going. That's what I'm thinking of anyway.
Okay.
We're gonna cover it all. There's lots of grooves in this road. Okay, so
And we should address the elephant in the room, not just that we're a trio, but that, you guessed it. Christina and Amy are sick.
Well,
Yeah.
Christina's
Oh,
not
sorry,
actually
Christina's
sick.
son is
Her
sick.
children are.
yeah.
Christina's children are sick, so she didn't want to come in and contaminate us.
Contaminate.
Contaminans. And then Amy is sick. So.
'Tis the season.
Is sick.
Okay, so that leads perfectly to
She's like
our...
almost well, but who cares? You don't need to know that. I care, but you don't need to know that. All right.
That leads perfectly into our highs and lows.
Woo woo. Oh. I just realized I was doing that. I didn't think of that yet.
Oh, I thought of mine.
All right, go ahead,
You want me to
go ahead.
Okay,
Hit it,
I
yeah.
know. I was like, these two introverts, they're going to need a minute. I was like, I'll just think of it.
I go first every time. All right. Go.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, I
Christina
didn't
goes,
even notice.
Yeah, everyone goes.
What? Oh my God. Wake up. Pay attention. All right. You go first.
Okay, I'm going to go. So my high was this morning. I went to my mom's group. It's like a group of moms. We all get together. There's
Ooh.
I think there's like 9 kids and like 7 moms or something. 'Cause, yeah, 2 of
Wow.
us have 2. Okay, yes, that makes sense. Anyway, so the twins, there's like 2 other boys and they're like the same age as the twins and it's really cute just seeing all the babies play and it's just really fun. And
Do
it's
they
nice
go into like a playpen or where do
no,
they?
it's just like in a big living room area. All the moms are sitting around, people like nursing their baby, babies are playing, there's like toys. It's kind of crazy, but it's
Wow.
fun. Yeah, that was like the first time that everyone was there. So it was fun. My low was that my twins were very sick last week. We actually went to the ER. It's kind of scary. My son Dominic had croup and he was struggling to breathe, which was really scary.
So sad.
And then my son Leo had another virus at the same time called roseola, which is like you get really high fevers and then you get a rash. It's a childhood illness. And his fever got up to over 105 degrees, which was crazy. So that was kind of scary too. But I've actually been through that before with Dominic, so I knew what to expect. But that was definitely exhausting and I was just like, okay, I'm ready to get out of the house. I'm just sitting in these 4 walls all day. It's starting to talk to me. So anyway, that was my low. Okay, what about you guys?
Okay, Lauren's looking at me like, don't you dare put me on the spot. So I will
That's
go.
not even what I was thinking.
Okay,
I was
all I
thinking,
heard was-
go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my mind.
Yeah,
Go
you were
ahead.
saying not me. Whatever. All right. I got to get on track. I just got to get back on track. I'm just kidding. Let's see. My low, the last 2 nights, my husband, has been in a lot of pain. He's been starting physical therapy, which should be good, but then it's like, why are you in so much pain? I feel it's supposed to make you feel better. Like just stretching, not even like working out yet. And the stretches have been like really making him sore.
I feel like physical therapy, I always hear that it's really painful.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So but he's going on tour anyway, so he's going to be taking a break from it. So hopefully he'll like heal back up. I don't know how this is supposed to work, but he just wasn't able to sleep very well at all and kept waking up. And then consequently, I woke up and I wear an Oura ring so I can check how many times I woke up in the night. It was 5. It was 5 times.
It's like
So
you
it
had a
wasn't great.
newborn.
Yeah, a little bit. It's really sad. So that was a low. It was a rough night. Hate a bad night of sleep, but sometimes you gotta do it. So that's fine. All in the name of love. My high is a pre-high. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm really excited that I'm going to Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to Disney World. You know when they used to win the Super Bowl? Are any of you old enough to remember that? Why did they stop doing that? Every time, I think it was like a
never really
sponsored
got
thing.
it.
I think it was a sponsored thing where they're like, "You just won the Super Bowl. What are you doing?" And they're like, "I'm going to Disney World." It's like they get a
They
free trip or
sponsored
whatever.
everyone.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that works. That's my catchphrase today. Apparently, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited. We've never taken Lily. I've gone with Chad a few times. We've never taken Lily, and we already
I
have
thought you did. Where did you take her?
Dollywood.
Oh no, you guys
We
went
took her to the beach
by yourselves.
We went before she
Got it,
existed,
got it.
and then we took her to the beach last year in Florida, but different area and all that. We have a meet and greet with Mickey booked, which she loves Mickey.
that'll be
because the characters are like wandering around, but you can't necessarily plan. So if you make sure there's something in there, because you don't actually know if you're going to see Mickey Mouse or not. It's like, all right, Mickey's her favorite. We got that booked, and then we'll see random people also too. But that's the big
That's
one.
gonna be so cute.
I know. I can't wait.
So magical.
I cannot
You're gonna
wait.
start screaming.
Well, and the last times I went there, I was like, this is really fun, but I really want to come back with a kid. Like,
You want to see it through the eyes of a child.
yeah, like it's about time.
How excited
It felt
they
a
get.
little weird being there without kids, and now I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait. So yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
My low was last night. I just slept really bad. I was just really overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on right now. And just like anxious. And I couldn't okay, I feel like when you're anxious in the middle of the night, you're so like delusional that you can't even really like try and think through and like work through it because you're just like it's not like coherent thought. So I'm just kind of stuck there. So I started watching some
It's
YouTube.
like this keyword just keeps looping.
Yeah, it's just like
pick up
pick up the thing.
Yeah. So then I started watching this YouTube documentary about a cult classic. And I fell asleep, but then I had a horrible dream that was so scary. So didn't you have a thing where you had like a thing in your mouth that was growing teeth?
Yes, I had a tumor.
Okay, I had a dream that I had some tumor on my stomach that was like growing all these weird things that were like falling out, and it was so
Oh, that sounds extremely
Scary.
symbolic.
I've
It
had
was
dreams
so
where there's like a
creepy.
zit that opens up and there's like gears inside, and then like your face. Yeah, it's
Okay,
so
that's actually
creepy.
really interesting. Wow.
Okay,
I love
yeah.
analyzing dreams.
It
I'm like,
was
what does
just
it mean?
this whole stress stream of like all these stressful things happening. And I'm just like, ew, what is
Hate
this?
that.
So just not a good night or morning because I was like,
I feel like the cult documentary probably did it too.
Yeah.
no, I liked it.
Oh, really?
Because it was
okay, I'm
helping
just
me.
saying
It gets
that
your
I
brain on
think-
something else. Yeah.
I've been doing that the last couple nights. I keep watching these really intense, scary, like
No,
forced
you're right.
marriage, like these weird videos. Like keep
Why
watching
would you do that?
Because the video that you showed me, the lady who was raised by monkeys, I love that video.
Well,
and then
that's a
all
good
these
one.
other videos related to it have these
No.
shocking stories, and I kept watching
know.
them.
Look, those are
And I was
things you
like,
have to watch at 11 a.m.
Why did I do it
Okay,
right before bed?
but
No, anyway, sorry.
it
It's
helped
just
me
bad.
not think about my anxiety,
Yeah.
and I did fall asleep watching
yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
saying it
Okay.
worked, but then I had a stress dream. But I don't think it was because of the documentary. I think it's just because of
You're
my
stressed.
stress, whatever. So that was my low. But then I went to therapy this morning, and I feel better. So
Was that your high? That therapy?
no.
Oh,
I'm just saying it's okay. My high, if you're struggling right now,
That's weird.
that's really weird. It's a TikTok. My high was I went out on the town last weekend. Went clubbing. No, I didn't go clubbing. I don't know what you would call that.
You
I
went to
went
the
out
bars.
dancing. Yeah,
Go to the bars.
but it was really cold, and it's January or whatever it is.
It's January.
Okay, and so a lot of stuff was like closed. I didn't know that, and there
didn't
was
know that
less
either.
people, and I don't know. I guess that makes sense because there's not as many people. It's like we need
We're
to
in the
open like
off-season.
everything. Yeah, there's not like tourists as much. So there were some wild bachelorette people in 30 degrees on those like bicycle
Oh my
things. I'm like, are you
gosh.
not frozen? But it was still fun to go and dance and
Well, it's kind of nice when it's
live,
less
laugh,
crowded.
love. Yes,
I used to
I
go in
did
the
like
summer
that.
and it was so packed, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah,
too
it's a
much.
little much. So
Yeah. I've had some
That
great
was
times
fun.
in the winter. Well, cool.
All right. I want to give a shout out. Okay, enough of you. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like that's what my tone sounded like, but I didn't mean it to sound that way. So I want to say that we have a piano course and you should check it out.
Shout out.
We're going to put the link in the description. It's with our mom. Our mom has a master's degree in piano. She taught all of us to play. And in the course, she's actually teaching us. So you guys get to learn alongside us.
I already know you guys have a New Year's goal. Learn an instrument.
This is
I know
a
you
great
do.
way to do it. It's all these. It's 10 lessons, and it's go at your own pace. So you can open it up, put it on your next to your piano and play, or your keyboard, and it's really fun. So if you want to try something new going into the new year, you should definitely check out our piano course.
Be more creative, be more cultured, be more artistic. This meets all of those.
Yeah. Also, we want to give a huge shout out to our patrons. Thank you so much for supporting us. Without you guys, the podcast would not be possible. So thank you with all of our hearts for all of your support. You rock.
Never change.
Never change.
Never change.
All right, next up, we got our 5 perspectives. Woo,
What is it?
Okay, so I would like to give a shout out to Ariel on our lovely teammate, Team Cimorelli hashtag. She came up with this. That's why I said that. Christina always types so badly. Christina wrote, I'm sorry, I'm not so funny. Are you an overpacked or am underpacker? She meant to say, are you an overpacker or an underpacker?
Wow.
So you mean like for a trip?
First of all, thank you for translating.
You're welcome.
Okay, I can go. I think before I had a baby, I was more of an underpacker. Depends on the season of my life. I've been both. Right now, I pack a lot for her, like a million things, but then for me, not so much. Like I'm fine as long as I have all the baby stuff. I'll like rewear clothes or whatever. But I used to be a very meticulous packing planner where I would try on every single outfit and lay them all out in a stack down to like the earrings and accessories and the socks, and I would put them in stacks in my thing so I had each outfit
love
set.
it.
Oh, that's smart.
That was amazing, but I don't do that anymore. I'm like shirts, shorts. All right, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I go back and forth based on what I did last time. So if I underpack before, I'm like, oh, I gotta pack more. And then I
Yeah.
overpack and I'm like, wait, I gotta pack less.
Yes,
It's like I just
that's
keep
it.
going back and forth.
That's so real.
I think that I've rarely hit the mark with packing. I always do both in the same suitcase. So like I'll bring like 10 t-shirts when I only needed 2. And then I will forget to bring my pajama pants or something that I need. Like I'll forget a very important item and then I'll overpack something else. So I'm just a bad packer in general. It's not a gift of mine. You would think I'd be better because we've traveled so much, but I am not good.
Todd Packer.
Never have been. A what?
Todd
okay.
Packer.
What's
The-
that?
The like nasty, gross guy on The Office.
Oh,
I'm just saying, you're like a bad packer. You're like Todd Packer. He's a
Okay,
bad packer.
okay. So we're gonna move on to the main topic. The main topic of today is how we stay positive in life.
Woo.
Not to be confused with toxic positivity.
No. It's like, how do you remain hopeful? How do you stay on track?
Yeah,
How do
I
you-
feel
and like look for the good.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like, okay, I think let's make a little disclaimer there.
How do you have a positive outlook?
Yeah, toxic positivity is like if anything bad happens to you, you ignore it.
Pretend it's not there.
You're just like sweep it under the rug, and it's like things can only be swept under the rug for so long before they start to build up. You gotta feel your feelings. You gotta grieve. You gotta just go. You gotta go through it. But there's also sort of a quality of like, I don't know. I feel like, what do you guys think about this? Like, I think being positive is like, you're able to look on the bright side. You're able to kind of see the silver linings in things, or like you're able to still know like there's still good in life, even if you're going through something hard. Not that you're always like happy, but it's just sort of an outlook on life. That's how I see it. I don't know.
And like you have, even in really bad times, you can have gratitude for the things that you do have, which helps you stay focused. It's almost like what you said when you're like delusional in the middle of the night. That is like being negative, where you like can't see straight. And then to me, being positive is like seeing clearly and reminding yourself as you slip into those depths. Okay, wait. I still have this. I can do this. I have these options. I can turn this around. Where it's like having hope and keeping your yourself aware of your options.
Yeah, and it's also like I feel like there's a lot of things to be negative about in the world. So not even just being like, yeah, this is great, I'm grateful for this, but even just not looking around and being like, I hate that, I'm mad about this, that's dumb, that's annoying. Like there's plenty of things to be mad and annoyed about if you look for them, but like not living in that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and it's like, why would you look for them? Like, what is the point?
Yeah.
We know they're there. It's like you can actually address them and be aware of them and live better because of that, where you're like, yeah, if I focus on that, I'm in the toilet. I don't want to do that.
And I think there's also a really important quality of like mental health where like you're able to be content no matter what your circumstances are. Maybe you're not in quite the right job or the right circumstances or the right relationship at that moment, but like, and you're able to like, you know, assess that and be like, okay, I need to move on or whatever. But regardless of whether your life is in flux or not, you're able to be content with like the little things every single day. I don't know. That's how I see it. Okay. So the first question is, what are some holes you've dug yourself out of?
Some holes?
Like, I don't know about that.
Some holes.
I think she wanted us to share like a dark time in our lives, but I'm like,
Okay, I can probably share one.
Okay,
I was
it doesn't have to be like some deep thing, but just something.
I actually have a deeper one, but I don't think they all need to be deep. But the reason is because I watched an extremely triggering, scary, like intense trauma movie last night, which was The Glass Castle. Is based on a true story, but anyway, I'm not going to go in the whole movie. But I was watching it with Max, and then there was this one scene when she was first married, and I remember watching it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I relate to how she was feeling." It's like because I remember when I first got married, I had a lot of like anxiety because I just was really afraid of getting into an unhappy marriage, or what if I married the wrong person? What if I didn't? It was like I didn't trust myself to make the right decision, even though I would pray about it and I had a lot of peace. I just was afraid that what if I'm wrong? What if I messed it up? And I screwed up my whole life. You know, it's like I'm married, can't go back.
Yeah.
And so I remember I would sit down and we would have dinner every night, and I would get an anxiety attack every single time we sat down to eat dinner. I still to this day don't know why that was, but it was always like we would sit down, and as soon as the plate was in front of me, I'd go, and I started to feel
resembling,
this, like, and it was like
a symbol of like the marriage. Like I'm married.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here eating dinner with my husband. To me, that's so like
it was like all this heaviness was coming to the surface of like just fear that I was carrying. And I was watching the movie, and in the movie, she actually is married to someone who is like, I think kind of they're saying the wrong person for her because they just weren't a good match. But I remember she was just like very unsafe feeling. And I was thinking about how like if you don't feel safe with yourself, you're not going to feel safe in a marriage, even if it is with the right person. It's just that you can't
feel safe anywhere or with anyone because you're always with you.
It's like your inner world like reflects outwards. I don't know, maybe that's kind of deep for this question, but like that is a hole that I remember. That was when I was like, I need to go back to therapy because my therapist had moved on to another thing and I didn't have anyone. So I was like, I need to go back. And I remember going back and starting therapy again, really digging into like, why am I feeling this way? What does this connect to? And sort of just like healing through that time. Also, my OCD got really bad at that time. It sort of flares up at certain times. And once I was able to recognize it, I was like, okay, I have this fear. It's like I identified what the problem was, and I was able to like smooth out of that. And my mental health like got back to a good place. But it took a couple months of like feeling a lot of fear and panic attacks. So that's definitely a more recent one. I don't know. I just thought about that because of last night. I was watching that movie and I was like, I remember that feeling.
I just thought of something where it's like I've overcome a lot of things in my life where I generally don't struggle with them anymore, but like depression or I actually am like, I don't know if I was depressed because I felt a lot more. It's what is the word if you're like sad all the time instead of like
melancholy.
Numb. Yeah, like sadness or whatever. Like
chronic sadness.
Yeah, because I don't want to say depression actually because I don't know if it was depression, but where it was more like happy times in between the bad times, where it's like the happy time is more of the outlier. It's not the norm. And then I realized a shift a few years ago. It's like, wow, it's really like some bad times in between the good times, like. And not like struggles, because you can't control life struggles, more like mentally for me. It was a lot of good times and different things. But then the one thing that I still like always struggle with is like isolation, where if a lot of people are asking me to hang out, then I'm like, I'm in a good place. Woo, I got all these plans. But this is the thing for me this year, actually, like a preemptive thing. I'm trying to build better social habits, where it's like I'm regularly seeing people.
You're like investing.
Yeah, like being proactive about it. That's my current like project. But that's something that I've dug myself out of several times, of being like, all right, I got to get back out there. But I still fall back into it. So I guess that's the track where I'm like, I sway off the track a bit. I got to get back on track. That would be the one for me.
Okay, this is something I thought of that, I don't know if it's a hole I dug out of, but it was like a negative mindset that I changed, that I feel like specific types of people are like this, and then you guys I think maybe aren't. But I remember like, okay, I would always listen to like sad songs in the car because I was like, I'm sad. I'm depressed. I am sad. And it was almost like a rule of like, and I noticed it with music because it was like, I only listen to these sad songs. This is all I listen to. And at some point, actually, it was when I first started dating Dylan, and I was like, wow, you can actually like have fun even if you're also sad too.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, I don't know why I had this thing where it's like, you're sad and then you're
you can only be happy if you're never sad again.
Yes. And it's like this identity of like, I am sad. And it's like, it was true. Like I was sad a lot of the time. I was like going through a hard time. Like it was hard. But I just had this thing of like, wait, I could actually get in the car and put on like a fun song and actually try to have an enjoyable time for 5 minutes in the car or 10 minutes, whatever, and enjoy that moment and still acknowledge that I'm going through a hard time or I've been sad lately. Like it was realizing the nuance, I guess, of I can still choose to have a positive experience on a day where I am having a bad day, or in a time where I'm having a bad time. I can manufacture a positive experience. And for me, that was just by the music I listened to in the car, like just driving to work, like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And it was like this like revelation to me of like, you don't have to put yourself in this box of like, because I think what it was is I felt like if I like try to be happy, then it's like I'm a fraud in my mental problems. So it's like, oh, if I like try to have a good time, then that means I'm not really depressed and I'm not allowed to like identify as that. So that was like a really interesting shift that I had of like, you're allowed to have fun and enjoy times even in a hard time. Like you're allowed to try for that, and it doesn't invalidate you struggling.
Interesting. So
That's so
interesting.
interesting.
So intricate.
Yeah.
So nuanced.
Yeah.
I know.
I actually had the almost exact same experience when I was 20. How old are you now? 24?
Yeah.
I think I was 24. Because I remember the guy that I liked at the time. But I had this pretty much same experience. I remember I listened to very much only sad songs for like a couple years.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is my identity. I remember exactly where I was. I was driving. I think I was right by the library. And I remember it was like this sunset was really pretty. And I was looking out and I had this sad song playing. And I was just like, I don't really feel that this fits me anymore. It was just it was like a shift. Like, I don't identify, even though I still am sad often and I carry that and I'm an emotional person, but like it's not my identity. So it was like part of me, but not like my core identity. And I shifted out of that. So I remember that. It was a very specific feeling and moment.
Yeah, and it's with the
Interesting.
music.
Yeah, it was with music.
Wait, that also
Music is
happened
so
to me around
interesting.
when I turned 25. I think it's also has to do with your prefrontal cortex.
Is this like a
developing.
shift from like teenager to adult or something?
Yeah.
Even though I know you're not a teenager, but like,
Prefrontal cortex, which finishes
Yeah.
developing at 25.
there was just like
nuance.
this. Yeah, there was like
Yeah.
a delicious sadness that I enjoyed.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the sad songs, and I was like, yes, this is just how I feel. And then one day I was like, I don't really, it's not me anymore.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to be that all the time.
Yeah.
If that's not how I'm feeling
Look,
all the time.
Life happens in the moment. you can't put a blanket statement on your life. It's
Yeah.
happening in the moment right now, which
Yeah.
I love about being a P, the personality type thing, where it's like you can only think about right now. I always tell
can't
Chad
relate.
about that. Where I'm like, I would drive into town and be like, oh, it's a couple hours till bedtime. I should call someone so see if I can stay with them. Like, I don't think about it until it's happening.
That's crazy.
I've gotten better at that now, but it's like life happens in the moment.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know if this is true, but I heard someone say like anxiety is when you think too much in the future, which is definitely me, and depression is when you live too much in the past. And like if you're like true happiness and contentment is being able to be present in the moment.
Oh, it's so true. And I realized that because I used
I don't know
to,
if it's true, but
this is just a random sidebar. I used to spend a lot of time outside in nature, and I would easily take it in, stare at the ocean, the sunset, whatever in Malibu for like hours and just be so
it was so
present.
pretty there.
And then more recently, I would go on walks and think about all these other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost like there and back to the end of the trail. There's so many beautiful trees. There's a creek. There's all these animals. And I barely heard or saw any of it. Like that's my what's the word? Like metric, like marker for if I'm doing well in life or not. Like, can you put things down and enjoy what is around you? Or are you like so caught up that you're missing it? You're missing it. Because that is, well, whatever. We're getting on a whole other thing. Let's keep going with
Okay.
the bullet points.
So another thing that we were talking about for this whole topic is gratitude, which I feel like you hear that word a lot. It just kind of, you turn your ears off sometimes, but it actually really is very helpful when you're trying to get out of a hole. If you feel like you're just kind of in a dark place or kind of in a rut. I know for me, I remember years ago, I was in a really bad place and I read this book called 1,000 Gifts where she talks, it's been a while since I read it, but she talks about how she was trying to list like 1,000 things she was grateful for and she was in a really hard time too. And I remember I started doing it. I was like, oh, I'm going to try to get to 1,000. I think I got to like 500 something. I don't know.
Whoa.
But over the course of like days, it wasn't just like one day.
Days though? Like how long are you
But
sitting
I
there?
remember like I would just look around the kitchen and I'd be like, ooh, orange slices. Like I was thinking of random things. And it's like when you start to look for things that you're happy about or that you're like, you don't like even something, it's like the same experience as when your power goes out. You don't realize you're like, wow, I'm so grateful that I have power. But you take it for granted because you have it all the time. Or even like
when you're sick, oh my gosh,
Oh,
like
your
I wish
health.
I was grateful.
right, you're exactly. I'm like, whenever I'm sick, all I want to do is like run and jump and yell and like use my body. I don't want it to be out of commission. And I think so. That's just something that is really helpful. I know some people will do like a really small, simple gratitude. Like there's one of my old friends would like write down. I think he'd do like 5 things he was grateful for every day, which I thought was a really cool, just like a very small, palatable way of doing it.
You know, this is a little bit different, but similar thing. I was talking to a priest once and I was saying how I was depressed. And like priests, like, they don't necessarily know like mental health.
Yeah,
of,
he's
like
not like a
here's how to
therapist.
fix your depression. But
Yeah.
he gave me this really good advice where he was like, okay, well, at the end of the day, like when you're laying in bed at night, you know, think about what went wrong that day, what you didn't like about that day. But then also think about something good that happened that day, like something that went right too. Like don't ignore the bad things, but think about both. And as I started doing that, I was like, wait, there's bad things today, but there was also good things that I totally would have just like not even thought about and just be like, oh, my life is a black hole. But just
Yeah.
thinking about like, okay, well, what went right today? What was one good thing? And you realize like the whole day wasn't bad. It wasn't all horrible.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if I said this on the podcast or just out loud recently, but I started doing this in November because I was trying to sleep better. I was like, I need to process my day before I go to bed. So I was in the shower. I think I just randomly made this up and I realized it's amazing. And I literally I take a hot shower before bed every night and I ask myself, with like spa music on, you're like, so it's all like helps you focus. And I just say, what felt good today and what felt bad? Because that specifically takes you through your emotions. You're like, ooh,
love that.
something immediately comes up every time. It's like, ooh, it didn't feel good when I said that to this person or they said that to me or Or like I had to take that toy away from Lily and she was really sad. Like literally anything that like hurt my feelings or made me down. And then I also go, okay, what felt good? And it's like, well, sometimes it's just like, well, it felt good watching the TV show that I love. It's like, all right, well, that felt good. Or it's like, oh, it felt so, and I start with whichever one comes up first. Some days it's like, oh, it felt so good having like a breakthrough with Chad in our relationship and we got to this much deeper level, like, oh, and you just like revel in it. And then like the bad thing isn't as bad that day, but it's like, it's such a good check-in to like, and then it's like, I feel like a lot of days just fly by and you're like, what even was it? It's so nice to be, it helps you remember this time in your life more because you're taking stock
you're being
of it
so
each
like
day.
present.
Yes, it's so good. I really recommend trying that.
Major key with what you guys are both saying of like, because I've actually noticed that a lot in therapy. When you're doing like trauma work, I did a lot of trauma work the last year, and one of the sessions I did was on my birth experience and the trauma that I went through with that. And I remember as I was telling her the story, a lot of like bad stuff would come, but then there's also these really good moments where I felt really empowered. And it's like when you go through a really bad experience, it's so easy to just be like, because that's just human nature, I think, to be like, that was a really bad experience. I don't want to think about it. It was really hard. That's just, it's natural to feel that way. But it's really good when you're going back, if you feel ready to like go back to it and revisit it, to be like, okay, but also what were the moments that were good in that? And like last week when I went to the emergency room with my son, it was a really stressful experience. And I had a lot of PTSD from like being in a hospital setting. And I went home that night and I was like, I just need a journal because I started feeling like I was about to have a panic attack. And I sat down and I wrote it all out. I just wrote down everything that happened. And I realized there was this one moment that I actually really loved where my son was getting really tired and we'd been in this room for like 4 hours and it was way past his nap time. So I was like, okay, they're not coming back in for a little bit. They just gave him the treatment. He's breathing better. So I turned off all the lights. I put on sound machine on my phone and I just like held him on my chest and I wrapped him in my sweater because I didn't have like a sleep sack. And I just held him and he took like a 30-minute nap on me.
Oh, the best.
And I just felt, and I mean, they don't do that anymore because they're not little babies anymore. And I just remember like thinking like, that like really right now just touches me. Like I could be a shelter for my son in the chaos of this hospital day that he has not enjoyed, being poked and prodded.
And when babies are sick, they're so cuddly. Like I had that when Lily threw up in the hospital where she fell asleep on me and I was like, oh.
And I remember like in that moment I was like, this is a really like beautiful moment and I'm thankful for this even in the midst of this
you
day.
Can't miss life.
Yeah, you don't want to miss
right now and you missing all this good stuff.
Yeah.
You also have to notice the bad things, but you don't miss the good things.
Yeah, and when I got home, I like immediately took my other son, who was still well at the time, to the park, and we like for like 20 minutes, but it was still like just something good to make the day something good about it. So anyway, yeah, it's just remember that perspective I think is super helpful. So the next one is one that I do, and I'm sure you guys probably do this too, but this is just like my version of it. I call it micro goals, and it's like every month I come up with small goals that pertain to what is going? My phone is playing music. I don't even know why that happened.
That was weird.
Wow. So yeah, I do this pretty much every single month. I like sitting down with my planner and just being like, okay, what do I have coming up and what do I want to focus on? And I feel like I say this a million times, but one of my recent ones was doing daily walks. And I've been wanting since my twins were born to get back in the habit of going on a walk every day. And I just, for some reason, could not get myself to do it. And I finally was just like, I think it was just because it takes so much to pack them both up and get them ready. It just was too tiring. Then I was like, I'm going to do it. And I just did it. And now I'm in the habit of it and I don't think twice about it. So it's like, okay, now what's my next one? And then I was like, oh, I want to start eating a lot more like vegetables. So I started doing salads for lunch and like just like little things that are small, but it makes you feel fulfilled. I don't know if you guys do that.
I think when you like invest in yourself, you make goals, you like have something you're aiming for and you actually see yourself making progress towards it. Like you feel better about yourself. You're like, yeah, like I deserve things because look at me, like I'm doing it. Like I'm proving that to myself.
It's like, and it's also kind of human nature of like, you like the gratification. Because if you have this big goal that you're maybe not going to get till closer to the end of the year, it's like, you need little things to kind of like, it just gives you a sense of purpose to have like small things that you're going for. Like I'm going to drink this much water every day or something. It just feels good to have stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. The next one is face your fears, identify them and face them. Fears lay dormant and control us. This is what we wrote. What does it mean?
Who said that?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I think she's saying like a huge part of being more positive is conquering your fears. Because if you're not...
then you're just cowering in the corner all day.
I didn't say this one, but if you're not being positive, then you are living the opposite is like living in like, how do I explain this? I can see it in my mind. You're like, it's like you're under a blanket all the time, and you're like, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then the cure is like, oh, who's I just talking to? Oh, my friend. She's actually like a bit older than me, and she's like, I'm doing like language classes and like dance and pottery, whatever, all this stuff. Like she starts saying like yes to everything.
That's so cool.
And it's totally the what's the word? Like the like, it's like alchemy, but it's not. The something. The antidote. I knew it had an A. It's the antidote to living in a hole. You have to get out.
Do something new.
Literally. Get out of your house. Get out of your routine. Get out of the places you normally go.
Yeah,
Go
you might just need
somewhere else.
something new.
Yes.
Switch it up a little.
Because then you feel your humanity again. You're like, whoa. We undervalue. It's so funny. When you get so inundated with fear of like things going wrong, you start to undervalue the lightweight things of like trying a new activity. You think, well, I have to fix this deep, horrible trauma. What's the point of playing soccer? Like, but actually it can help you like feel empowered and feel connected to a group of people. And then you're like, whoa, maybe I deserve to heal my trauma. Maybe I should take steps towards it that I was scared to take before because I just tried something new and it went really well. Maybe now I could try therapy that I was so scared to try. Mm-hmm. It's actually a lot more deeper than it seems. The little things.
Okay, the next one is hope is a choice.
Okay, this is what I was. Oh wait, is there more to it?
It just says how do we each cultivate hope in your life?
Okay, this is what I wanted to say, and Christina was like, "Oh yeah, me too." But
I feel
she
like you
couldn't
guys
be
were on
here.
the same page. So
Yes,
you'll be speaking for her.
Yeah,
kind of.
where it's like, I feel like anyone who's been in kind of like the depths of depression, you know that there's like these thoughts in your head and this voice in your head that's like, it's not real. It's not like the world is horrible. Your future is hopeless. Like logically, you're like, okay, how could I know that the whole future is a dark hole? Like that, like if you're just saying that, like it doesn't make sense. Like rationally, but you have like all these thoughts in your head. And this is when I kind of realized like this idea of like, you have to choose to have hope, because in those moments, it's like, I did not have it. It was just like this like demon voice in my head of like, everything's horrible, nothing will be good again. So it's like, I couldn't just be like, well, like, I feel like in like a normal time, like maybe you could tap into like some hope you already have, but I didn't have any. So it's like, you have to learn for yourself how to find hope, and you have to like make that choice to feel that. And I think maybe you relate to this like with stuff with Chad, where it's like you had to choose to be hopeful about it, because like that wasn't just gonna fall in your lap. Like you had to make that choice.
You guys have been it feels like you guys have been so like positive and hopeful. It kind of blows me away how you guys have approached the whole thing. Because I feel like most people wouldn't be able to do. It's just a really hard situation.
Well, there's plenty of negative feelings there for sure, and plenty of tears, but it almost it feels like a second nature, like springboard response for both of us, where we're like, all right, we're gonna get through this. Like, and okay, first of all, Chad is the most like actionable person of action or whatever that I know, where he blew my mind when we met, and still does all the time, where he's like, oh yeah, I decided I want to do a music festival, so I'm putting together a festival, and it's like months in advance, and he's planning it out. There's never procrastination or anything. He's like, I want to do it, so I do it. I have big dreams. I don't put personal weight on them. If this fails, I fail. He's like, I just go for it. If it doesn't work out, I try again next time. It's crazy. But I feel like this is directly related to what you're saying of like the hope is a choice or whatever. It's like, and what I was saying about getting out, to me, there was this shift, like I said, where I used to be, you know, good times were just a little blip in between the sad times. I started to become a person of action and just do it. And that's when it really hit me. Like the quote, I think I said it yesterday or whatever, the day before on Zoom, is like, in Eat, Pray, Love, she's like, every day this man would pray to the statue of like a saint or whatever, and he'd be like, please let me win the lottery. And he would come back every day, please, please let me win the lottery. And then one day the saint got so frustrated and came to life and hit him over the head and was like, my son, buy a ticket. Or it's like, he's not, if you're not doing anything to get the thing, you're not going to get it. You're not going to sit in the hospital and just be so inspired out of nowhere. It's like you have to, in that situation, we had to actively look for good news in every update, even if it's a bad update. It's like, okay, well, it wasn't this, so let's be thankful for that. And now everything Chad gets, it's like, good news. Even I'm like, well, I don't know if that's good news, but it's like, yeah, it's good news because it's not this, so it's good. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and then if outside of the hospital in life, it's like, you have to just pick, really just, I'm like, Chad, oh my gosh, everyone could just be more like him. You'd blow your own mind, where it's like, you pick what you want to do and you just do it. And you actually take out the like motivational speakers yelling in your ear of like, you gotta be great, you gotta be the best. It's like, don't even worry about being the champion of the earth unless that really works for you. But that's what I find with UFC. They build these stars and they get this ego that drives them to win, and they win like 30 fights and then they lose one and they die and they never recover. Even though they're just as talented, they just have this mind warp they can't get over. So it's like if you remove the champion narrative and you just say, I'm just going to do this thing. The goal is just to do it, not to change the whole world and be the most famous heartthrob of all time. It's like, just do it. That's it. And that's like, to me, hope comes from action. Because you expect, with the way movies are, that you're going to feel inspired and then you're going to do this thing and it's going to be amazing. But really, you do the thing, which might be, I'm going to get up a little earlier, take a shower, and get dressed so I can have a good start to my day. You do the thing and then you feel the momentum. And then it becomes a positive cycle of like, you feel more momentum, you do more good things. And then you feel more momentum, you do more good things. But you got to start with the action because the momentum is not going to come.
It's like, yeah, the action is like telling your mind like you actually are doing it.
Yes.
And then it starts to shift your identity.
For me, it's about opening my mind because it's always like I get this closed mind of like, this is the only way I can do things and this sucks, so everything's going to suck forever. And I think what it was is like learning to look for plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, realizing like there's so many different things you can do. There's not just one way for your life to go, one way for anything that's happening in your life to go. Like, when things go wrong, look for all of like the other ways you can go because they exist.
Yes.
And then also think, so it's like opening my mind of like, okay, there's other things I can do. My plan is not working, but there's 10 other plans. I just need to think of them and they exist. And then also thinking back of like, okay, I've been here before and I thought this same way or felt the same way. And then I felt better later.
Yes.
So even though I don't feel like I'll feel better later, I know that I will because it's happened before. And then I think like, how many times did something happen that I had no idea was going to happen? How many times did something good randomly happen? That could be tomorrow. That could be today. That's real. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's kind of what I think get in the mindset to like cultivate hope in myself because it's true. You don't know what's going to happen. Something good can happen at any time. Everything could change tomorrow. You have no idea.
And also too, I think one of the most painful things in life, it's just like, I feel like this whole thing just makes me think about all these things, like the crux of humanity. I think one of the biggest cruxes of humanity is control. And feeling like you have control or you don't have control. And I think for me, as someone who struggles with OCD, it's like you want to feel in control and you do these things because it makes you feel like you're in control, but you're not. So when you're going through a situation, which I feel like most people are going through some situation at all times that doesn't feel in their control or isn't in their control. And so the things that you can control, you got to find a way to enjoy those things. Like as simple as, are you cooking breakfast that you like? Yes. Are you making do you wake up every morning excited for your coffee or for your tea or for your breakfast, whatever it is, like something that you enjoy, like putting those things in your day or like, I don't know, what are the things that you love? Are you doing them? Are you going out in nature? Like if you're doing the things that you can control in a way that is like a happy thing, then you're going to be a happier person. So I don't know. That's how I cultivate hope is like, if I can't control, like with my son in the emergency room, it's like taking my other son to the park that day. That was really good for me. I was in this, cold hospital building for hours. And then it was like, I just need to go out in the sun for like a little bit. And I met a new friend like on my walk. Like it was great. But just like, that's such a small, simple thing. I literally went on a walk, took my son to the park, and it just brightened my whole day because I just needed that thing that I could control to be positive.
That's what I've learned about control from our hospital stays. You can't control the future. That's the fear that everyone has. Well, what if I can't control the future? The bad news is you can't. But the good news is you can control certain things right now. And it's like everything that goes back to, like I realize I'm looking for assurance that everything's going to be perfect forever. But we're all going to live forever or whatever. And it's like that, you can't have that. You just can't. And that's like so overwhelming and scary. But then you realize that, again, life is happening in the moment. You can worry about the time you may lose with this person, and now you're losing it by worrying about it.
Yeah.
Now you're not enjoying it. And what if someone you love, not to be dark, they just pass away in like 3 days from now, and then this could be the time right now that you are going to look back on and wish you did differently. But if you live every day, not in a dark way, but like if this was the time, the last days or the certain period before I get really sick and I'm going, oh, I wish I had my health, am I doing it justice? It sounds darker than it is because it really just brings me back to the moment. I just heard about this incredible figure skating couple today. They were like the best to ever do it. Like no other partners will ever be as good as them because they were in love and they were like, they got married and they had 2 kids and their performances are just like stunning. And he's this healthy Olympic athlete and he had a massive heart attack and died at 28 on a lake ice skating. It's like, you just don't know. You just don't know. But that's the beauty. It's like, if you don't get too caught up in that and you stay right now, it's like it's like magic. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in the time. I'm in the golden days. They're right now. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't look like it. It's like they are. And even looking back on my times in the hospital with Chad, there is so much like magic in it of like, any time that's full of emotions can be magical because you're feeling alive. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that morbid pep talk, but
hey, I think that's
live
a good
in the
perspective.
moment.
yes,
Be present.
It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one we had your name with it, so I think you came up with this. It's just grow up.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I kind of already said that. I was like, you need to become a person of action. I realized that's also when I grew up. And yeah, there's a whole other rant attached to that is kind of rude and not quite relevant to what we're talking about. But yeah, becoming an effective person is also the thing of like growing up and becoming an adult. Everyone's like, adulting is hard or whatever. It's like, it is. I feel for you. It's really hard. You have no one else to rely on now. Everything looks to you, especially when you become a parent. Like you are the parent. Even though you have your mom, it's like not the same. But then you also have the most control over it's like, I'm the one who makes the decisions. That's scary and it's also good because you can create. You're the sculptor now. You're the potter. You're the potter or whatever. You're making the vase.
Yeah, and I know this might sound, I don't want to be like disregarding people's experiences, but I do think that the more hard things you go through, the stronger you become. And it's not that your life becomes easier, because I think it gets harder as you get older, but you get stronger because you've been through all this stuff. And suddenly the thing that you were really worried about doesn't seem as big of a deal because you've been through way worse. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
I know how to get through this. I got through this before. I'll do it again. I can do this.
That's my thing. It's like looking at everything that I'm dealing with. It's like, yeah, I should just like give up. Like life is not the same as it was. It's not going to be as fun, not going to be as good, whatever. But then I'm like, I don't want that. If I say that becoming a mom ruined my life, that's like blaming my child for all my problems. I hate that. Because then you're just like, oh, ever since I had this beautiful angel who didn't ask for me to create her, now everything is so hard, blah, blah. So I'm like, no. Despite everything, it's only going to get better. I'm only going to make it better. I'm going to get new tools, new things. It's got to get better because I want it to. And it will.
And it's like you're the only one that can do that for
Yes.
yourself. No one's gonna like come in and like do that for you.
Putting yourself in the driver's seat is the scariest, but also the most fulfilling and empowering and the best thing. It's like, I'm driving. Whoa. Where do I want to go? No one else is driving. I always felt like someone else was driving my whole life. Suddenly it's like, we're
It's
driving
me.
to Disney World.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it on. Disney World.
Thank you. We're going to Disney World.
Yeah. Hopefully that episode inspired you guys in some way. And if you're feeling down, we
Then
feel
get
for
up.
you.
Just
Yeah,
no.
you can get up. Well, we're going to close it out with Sister Spotlight. Every week we put the spotlight on a different sister. There's Get Real with Christina, Sappy Thoughts with Kath, Lisa's Corner,
Why does everyone never...
Amy's Current, because it used to be Lisa's
We
Weird
changed
Past.
it.
Lisa's Corner.
Lisa's Corner,
No.
Amy's Weird I would say Amy's Weird Crisis,
Amy's
Current
Crisis.
Crisis, or Lauren's Take. And this week the spotlight is on me, Kath. Okay, so my sappy thought for you today is inspired by a very popular song of days past, which the title is "You Don't Know You're Beautiful."
Wow.
And I just wanted to just give you a little meditation for a moment here. I don't have too much, but I just want to say that in my experience, I really do think that we are our own worst critics. I think every person is so much harder on themselves than they actually should be. And you're way harder on yourself than you are on any of your friends. I was thinking about this because, that makes me emotional. I was looking at pictures of myself yesterday from when I was earlier in my 20s. And I was just like, I was saying it to myself. I was like, you didn't know you were beautiful. Like you really didn't see yourself that way because all you saw were the flaws. But I guarantee that you are way, like, not just the way that you look, but the way that you are way more beautiful than you see in yourself. And it's not just how you look that day. It's who you are as a person. Like, every person is completely unique. There's no one else like them on the planet. God only created you. Even my sons, who are identical twins, they're still completely different people.
The only difference is their gut bacteria. I just learned that with identical
gosh.
twins. That's the only
wild.
physical difference anyway.
But anyway, I just want to say that it's okay to just put the critic voice down for a second and be okay with yourself exactly as you are. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to change your hair. You don't have to get a better outfit. You don't have to try a new workout program. You don't have to improve yourself. Like, just as you are in this moment, there's already a person sitting there who is lovable. That's just because that's who you are. And that's who everyone is. Like, we are all lovable. And if you get to know any person, if they're actually really being themselves and you can get to know them, they are lovable, because that's just the core of every single person. We're made in the image of God, and God is love. So we are all made in that. And I just want to leave you with that thought that you don't realize how beautiful you are. So stop being so hard on yourself, because you just don't give yourself enough credit.
Apparently that's the number one regret of women from like nursing homes. They wish they would have hated their bodies less.
Oh, I feel that. I could totally see that.
Men wish they spent more time with their families.
And worked less.
I ain't gonna have that problem. Anyway, yeah, because I spend time with them all the time.
Yeah. So anyway, well, hopefully you guys are just living it up on the other side there from this episode. Just feeling the uplift. I feel it.
We love
Positive
you
vibes.
guys.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.
See
Bye,
ya.
guys.
You've been listening to the Cimorelli podcast. Follow Cimorelli on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find Cimorelli on Facebook and Instagram